Afro Comic Con 2021. Rewrite the future with us.
Welcome everybody to Afro Comic Con. I want to just let you all know, if you don't know already, that this is a multi-generational artist panel, and I would like to thank Afro Comic Con for bringing us all together today. So just a reminder, Afro Comic Con is a nonprofit which depends on the donations in order to bring diverse programming like you've been seeing at yearly events, as well as various programs throughout the year to benefit the community. So please donate by clicking the donate button on the event platform. Now let's meet our panelists for today.
Hey.
Hello.
We still have a few more people.
How you doing?
All right, so I would like for everyone to go around and just tell us a little bit about yourself. First off, your name and just like what do you do, a brief synopsis. So I will start, I guess we'll go it's clockwise, starting with Steven.
Okay. I'm a comic book artist and illustrator. I specialize in comic books. So I've been doing this for 30 years now. So my 30th anniversary was last month in September. So I've done books for Marvel, DC. I do my own book. For Marvel, I did Deadpool Annual 98. I did DC. I co-created a book called Aztec. I worked on some Batman and Robin books and Catwoman. I did Voltron for Dynamite, and I do a couple of my own creator-owned books, like Jala, The Fringe. I'm working on a book called currently right now. I'm working on a book called Michael Cray for DC Comics a couple years ago. And now I'm working on a book called Indigo Clan for a man named Rael Nagasta out in Oakland, which is a metaphysical martial arts action adventure. And I'm done.
Yeah. Is it Turtle?
It's Turtle. That's me.
Yeah.
It would be okay if you said Turtle. Most people call me Turtle. It's all right. I even got turtle tattoos. Okay.
Oh, that's dope.
Well, I'm based out of Chicago. A lot of you know me for starting the Black Age of Comics movement, which I started in 1992 with the article that I ran, throwing down the gauntlet, that we were going to be running things. Well, that didn't quite work out, but we've had tremendous progress, impact in the industry. I like to think we've been a force that has expanded the industry to be for real about otherness and diversity and things like that. Prior to that, I was freelancing as a major market illustrator. I worked a lot in magazines like Playboy, We Magazine, Chicago Magazine, Ebony Magazine, Ebony Jr. Some people know me from the days when I was working with George Clinton and doing album covers for him, and some other work with Captain Sky and even Curtis Blow. My company, Only Studios, we've been publishing independent graphic novels and comic books. I refer to my style as rhythmistic, which is future primitive. We published our first book, Nog, the Protector of the Pyramids, in 1981. And we still publish. So if you want to know more about us, go to our website. But I look forward to the panel.
Thank you. Sante?
Yeah, Asante Masawa here. I'm the founder of Nubimancy Entertainment. It first started off as a social media page that shared art, specifically science fiction, fantasy, and horror art that featured Black and African characters. That was a focus. Very much inspired by heavy metal and sci-fi movies I grew up watching, fantasy movies I grew up watching, and I wanted to see hello Alithea.
Hey Alithea.
Alithea.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
Very much inspired by a lot of stuff I was watching. And now we're a film production company. I've made 2 films under the Nubimancy Entertainment production company. I've been in business now since 2017, and my next project is going to be in anime. It's my first foray into anime, so it's proven very interesting and expensive. But so far it's going well, and look for a Kickstarter coming in 2022 to fund a pilot for the current anime I'm working on. I think Max is next.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Tony. Also known as King Master Miller. I'm a cartoonist and the artist from
Can't hear you.
Yeah, your sounds a little. Yeah, that's better, I think.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Tony. I'm from Michigan. I'm an aspiring comic cartoonist, and
Is your hand over the mic part on your phone?
oh, can you hear me now?
No, it's not much better.
Okay,
Still kind of muffled.
Tony from Detroit, Michigan, auto worker and an aspiring comic book artist.
Okay, I got that.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
All right, Joshua, I guess you're up next.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Joshua Lynn. I'm a character designer and a frame-by-frame 2D animator, creator of Team Supreme, work for Netflix, Baobab Studios, Sony, soon to be Illumination, Nickelodeon, and owner of Leonard Studios. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And is it Alitha? Okay.
Yes.
We're just doing brief intros.
Okay.
Name, pronunciation, a little bit about yourself.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Alitha Martinez, and I draw comic books. Currently, right now, I'm working for both Marvel and DC. Marvel with the Latinx stuff coming out, I think, in December, and DC Nation with Nubia coming out next week. Oh my goodness, I'm so very, very excited. And I usually do not get excited because I've been drawing comic books since they let the animals off the ark. My first book was Iron Man, and currently now Nubia working on that. It's been a wonderful experience. And Wonder Woman very soon too.
Thank you. So as I mentioned before, this panel is titled the Multi-Generational Artist Panel. So I will let you guys kind of define yourselves between like OGs and, kind of new gen. But the first question goes to the new gen. Jess, how has the older generation of artists inspired you or ways that they've cleared a path for you? So that's up for grabs for anybody.
Wait a minute, you're calling us old?
I said OGs. So
wait. Let me jump on this. I like to call it vintage.
Okay. I will take that. I'll take vintage.
Okay, and see, because I've been freelancing since 1970, so that's a long time. I think I know you directed it to the younger people, but I think that so much work was done by so many people in so many places that a lot of times you're not even aware a path was cleared. So a lot of it's almost like stealth mode, like things were done at so many different levels to open doors, to create a pathway, to make it more comfortable, to really be yourself when you went into these companies and things like that. So I know a lot of stories didn't get passed down, but from my perch, being at this stage of my game, I love it because every time I look up, there's like another person that's awesome, that's got good ideas, that is full of themselves and full of energy, and they're doing things that 20, 30, 40 years ago just were not happening. 60 years ago, it wasn't happening. 50 years ago, it wasn't happening. So I think that it's been a lot that's happened on a lot of levels. And, I think so many people are so busy making sure they're doing their work that they're just not always aware of how these paths sort of percolated.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think for me, just seeing people of color that are making comics, making cartoons, film, always a inspiration for me to see that it's possible for the next group and the next generation to come around. So that's where it was for me, you know, as an inspiration to see Black people, just people of color, given the opportunity to create and tell stories. So thank you.
Well, I want to chime in a bit and say that I went to a panel at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, and I actually saw Alitha on the panel, and that was the first time I saw like a Black woman in comics and in that space. So that was very dope and exciting. And just doing the panel today, originally when I saw your name in the correspondence, I didn't even put that connection together, but it is very nice to see you again on the panel talking about what you do. But
Alisa is the first Black woman in comics in Marvel and DC.
okay.
Awesome.
As far as I know, she's the first Black woman that's done ongoing monthly book at Marvel and DC, drawing a Marvel and DC book. But I could be wrong. But was that?
So I've been told.
Yeah.
I'm the first to handle the flagship titles from that, and that's a very sad commentary if you think about it, because I've only been drawing comics for 20 years. So that means there was no space for me when I got in. And believe me, I knew it. They let me know that every turn, every time I showed my portfolio, you don't draw like a girl. What in the world does that mean? So being just women in the space was something like, oh my God, there's some unicorns walking past. Not even sexy unicorns, just unicorns in general. Much as you're coming up and they don't know how to define you. Your last name is Martinez. Look at your face. You don't look like the regular Spanish person. It's like, believe me, I'm as regular Spanish as they come. My grandmother straight off the banana boat. I didn't even
creativity taking place.
Yeah. My great grandmother didn't even speak English. I didn't even realize that woman didn't speak English. That's how straight off the boat we are here. I'm first gen here. So to come into this space, and I still feel like I am not allowed to create. What I do is regurgitate work for other people. I make it so that you can't say, we can't do this. It's the creators that are coming in behind me, the women who don't know about that struggle, who literally walk in the door and say, I've got these wonderful ideas, and they're drawing and they can draw anything and nobody questions them. That's the legacy I hope to leave. I've left a lot of people behind. People have to take my place. You have to walk into the big companies. It's not just about doing for self. You have to show them we are here and we mean to stay here.
So I want to just continue that. And this question really could be open for anybody, but how has some of the upcoming generations or like newer artists, how have they inspired or maybe changed your style or your workflow, or like, for instance, incorporating social media, and we have like YouTube and all sorts of stuff like that. Has any of that impacted what you're doing?
Well, with me, it gets me to pay more attention to what people are doing, and makes me not lazy with my work. It's just the younger generation continues to inspire me with their new takes on things and their contribution to the industry, with their ideas, and sometimes they come to me and ask me what the industry is like, or how they can break in, or have them show me their portfolio and give them advice. But I like seeing their consciousness work. Even their politics is, on the whole, is more progressive than previous generations as a whole. Now previous generations have been more active, maybe, but I don't know. But I like to see where I like where they're going, and I'm more positive about where things are going in the industry with them in it right now.
Well, I'll chime in here, speaking as I think I'm the only non-illustrator here, because I'm actually a curator, along with being a filmmaker. That's what I started as. So I don't draw, but I curate. I've shared some of Steven's work, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've shared his work, and one of my films was actually inspired by one of the artworks that I posted on Nubimansi about 4 years ago. And it's just, this young artist from Ghana, but he lives in, I think in Cleveland, Ohio, born in Ghana. And he drew this artwork of a tree, a black woman fused with a tree. So she was a tree goddess. And there was an adolescent black boy sitting beside the tree and just like looking off in the distance while this gorgeous tree goddess woman was just, looking, straight at us. And as soon as I posted the image, I saw a film. And I sent a message to the artist saying, I see a film here and we need to talk because I need your permission to turn this into a film. And he just said, go ahead, do what you gotta do, keep me posted. And about 2.5 years later, it became a 1-minute short film called A Mother's Nature, which is on YouTube. You can watch it on our page, right? So that's the power of art, is that you can just draw a painting, just something out of your imagination, and it can turn into something else, right? It can turn into a film, it can turn into an anime, it can turn into a book, it can turn into a graphic novel, but you just have to draw it. You just have to bring it out of you. And that's what I think a lot of young artists are doing these days, is that they're no longer afraid to bring those things out and to see what becomes of it.
I'd like to chime in. Okay, there was a phase in my career when I was dealing almost exclusively in black money. What do I mean? I was illustrating greeting cards for a company that was called House of Gemini, and they were selling them through the Sears company. I was freelancing for Johnson Publishing. I sold them some fine art that went into their permanent collection, and then they started hiring me to work for Ebony Jr., which was an educational publication that they were selling in school systems that had a large percentage of black students. I was working for Players magazine, if anybody ever heard of them. And then I was working in the record industry, and my checks were all signed by accounts payable at black-owned companies. That kind of opportunity is gone to counterbalance mainstream and where there's formula and where you're wrapped in the formula. Now, keeping it real, I worked for anybody that would pay me. So I worked for Hope Warner and Winston, I worked for Capitol Records. You work the room, right? But what I've seen over time, over the decades, has been like a decline of black-owned operations that can counterbalance the creative narrative, the opportunity, and things like that. You probably read in history books, there used to be places called record stores, and there were record stores, I'm making a joke, but there were record stores in the black community. And a lot of times the records that were in the black community were published and pressed by black-owned labels. I mean, it wasn't just Motown. It was a lot of brands that had, great sales volume. People had great careers working in this network. Stacks, right? And we're not talking chitlin circuit. We're talking, this was high-end jazz, blues, gospel, and things like that. And that actually created the opportunities where people who were mainstream were treated better and made more money. And it was like cross-fertilization back and forth. And so there was this push, and it's still out here with what we call the Black Age of Comics. And we balance it. Number one, we totally advocate that the mainstream hire the best we got and hire some of our mediocre people. If they can hire their folks that are mediocre, hire mediocre from our side. But the other side is we don't have the network of stores like those old record stores where black independently produced and published product can sit on a shelf, can have it branded and promoted as such. I understand we all do the internet, but has anybody noticed that print, okay, according to Diamond, they're talking about selling $1 million worth of product in the North American market in print. And Black independents aren't necessarily in that nexus and in that matrix in terms of having the product carried by them and all that. So I'm hoping that I don't care who does it. I've spent time with it with only studios and things like that, but we don't have distribution, shipping, receiving, stores, and shelf space so that people can experience the product. You know how people go shopping, they go to the store, they try it on, they go home, and then they order it. And so I'm hoping that eventually we will have that network out here too.
Well, that actually kind of leads into my next question, was just like, how have things changed, in your opinion, for Black artists throughout throughout your career journey in the industry? I think almost everybody is in comics. I'm also in animation, so I'm not too familiar with the history of Black artists in comics. Every time I do or watch one of these panels, I learn a lot.
Well, like I say, from the 80s to 90s, and I think Alitha could attest to this too, is that when I always think about doing a comic with a Black central figure, people always say you gotta tone it down a little bit. You gotta have a white hero, a white character next to that person, or just tone down the Blackness. And then we go from now with like, no, we're gonna go all the way totally unapologetically Black and just promote it online and take it to Netflix, and we'll see what happens. So that's been a large change over the past 30 years that I've seen, 30 years plus. I'm just covering my lifetime, but of course before I got into business too. Even Black creators were like, "Nah, we can't do this. We can't. Nah. I want to. It's too Black. I want to do a white character. I mean, we got to mix it up a little bit. We can't be too Black." But yeah, so there's a big change, and of course other groups. There's more like, if we're gonna be gay, we're gonna be gay and proud. We're gonna be LG. We're gonna be we're gonna be LGBTQIA. We're gonna do the whole alphabet. We're gonna be all up in there, be our full authentic selves, unapologetically. And I'm here for that, and I love to see that versus what it was 20 plus, 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, I feel we haven't reached that balance yet. Before they used to say, you put two Black characters in a book, that's a Black book, and that Black book isn't going to sell. So working for mainly mainstream, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to draw people of color. I would have to sneak them into the background, and even then you'd see them color it at the end of the day, and then the whole crowd is white immediately, even with the little afro. They're still white. So what can I do about it? It's like,
yeah.
Think about that. Someone else.
Yeah.
You know what?
And Larry Stroman, Larry Stroman would draw his Alien Legion. He would sneak Black people in there as aliens, maybe colored blue or orange, but you know by their anatomy, their facial features, and their body anatomy, they were Black.
Yeah.
So that's how sometimes we had to get down back in the day and sneak them in there from time to time.
Even now, I'm finding that now they're putting people in the forefront. Like, you're getting these big, beautiful casts of all these very, 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 very ethnic people. And now I'm seeing something else. Since I think 2018, I have not drawn one straight Black woman here except Moon. And I noticed these things. I'm going, wait a minute. So I'm watching a swing so far to the other end that what are you trying to say here? Why don't I see? So still in comics today, I see no reflection of myself. I am still drawing what other people believe a Black woman should be. And only within those parameters am I allowed to define her. Sorry. Makeup is running. Oh my God.
Tony and Joshua, do you guys have anything to add?
I would actually say that first off, I just want to say that it's an honor to be here, around all of this Black excellence. It's pretty cool. And as an aspiring artist myself, I'm learning, so someday I want to be just like y'all. So yeah.
I think one thing that would help is to be able to differentiate the quality that has come from Black independent products, where, I think in terms of you're an independent company or you're a small company versus a large company that's very established and very moneyed. That, just like with music, the musicians went through this, and it took decades. Most of us can't even remember when all black music was stuck on the low end of the radio and was called race music, and that was about all you got.
Yep.
And so now you we see what we see. So a lot more tenacity, a lot more arrogance, a lot more swag, a lot more brag, and being a little more preferential of voting with your money. Buy from black independent companies. Sure, some are lame, I got that, but not all of them are lame. Buy the one good one that you could brag about. Like quit doing the subtracting, like what's wrong. How about what's right? Okay, like when I go to independent age conventions, I buy something from somebody, read it and read it. It doesn't work for me. I give it come Kwanzaa time, or I donate it to a school, but I keep circulating. And that it's this kind of patient involvement that we can grow a counterbalance that will compete with. I mean, like right now, what the mainstream is not doing is our opportunity to do it. And if they did it and really did it right, where would that put us then? And you see them following the money, following the trends. It used to be you couldn't go in the office if you had hair like this. Okay, they'd be like, no, you can't come in here. Okay, and so went through that transit. It used to be you couldn't get a cab, you couldn't be on the block. Okay, so now you could get a gig, you could keep your cultural swag and all that, and that's good. And like what she's saying, you can sneak in a black character and these kinds of things. But how about working with a black independent company where you could design all the characters? Well, the characters can be what you can't quite get across. Plus, wait a minute, doesn't the mainstream still kind of have this thing that if you develop a character for their product, they own it? Is that still in the copyrights?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Uh-huh. You may get some points
Okay,
to the marketing or money back.
Yeah,
but
so I'm saying there's a lot of opportunity over here where a lot of us are publishing, but because we're not mainstream, people don't refer to us as publishers. My operation owns, we've published since 1981 more than 30 different products and have sold a lot of them to a lot of people. Now I'm selling to people that don't like me, okay? So if it was really that bad, they'd be tracking me down to get their money back. So I must be doing something right. And the thing is, I could do it better if I could move more product, if I could work with more people and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I advocate on the other side of the fence. I want the mainstream to treat everybody right, to pay people extremely well. I really wish it was like royalties, like in the record industry, that if you come up with the arrangement, you get points. If you do background vocal arrangement, you get points. So there's a lot of medieval practices in the mainstream where they kind of own everything, and they know the distributors, the stores, and the publishers are all in kind of a collusive mode. And so most people think when they say comic books or graphic novels, they really mean established manga, anime, Marvel, DC, a little bit of Image, a little bit of IDW, and that's it. They're not thinking independent. Whereas if you think of the music industry, and I know these are different industries, but in the music industry, you had an infinite amount of independent labels that were the foundation of funk, R&B, gospel, definitely hip hop. And so this is out there. So I just wish that some people who are frustrated, whether they're a writer, a publisher, a designer, illustrator, gifted artist, whoever you are, look at what independent publishers are doing and express yourself in that mode, and you'll keep your copyright at the same time.
I am still quite frustrated in this industry and with it. This is the industry I came into, I wanted into so very, very badly. And I do realize that while it's important, all these independents, and I see them coming and they're stronger than ever, when the establishment remains white and they're written by white people, and our big characters that we celebrate are white and continuously created by white people. We are not changing that space, and we're not making it normal for them to see people of color within that space. Right now, it feels like DC is running an experiment with Nubia coming out. Our cast is just about entirely people of color, drawn by people of color. And yet and still, I don't expect the sales of this book to be as strong as it normally is for other books that have all white cast, or the white books that the people will buy. Because I notice when people come up to me at shows, they're bringing me books that are, Iron Man, all these others. I have yet to see Future State come back to me. Now, granted, I only did one show and I was there for less than half a day, but still, this is not what I see coming back to me. And when I say, oh, did you get this book? Oh, no. So you're not supporting this cast of characters being drawn by these people. You are still giving your money to the Superman, to Batman, to things like that. You are not showing them that we are ready to be in this space truly and completely, because we don't support those books, period. So the next time they're going to come out and want to do one, why would they take the chance? To me, they're all about making their money. They're going to make what sells. And us as industry whores, I'm going to draw what sells. Believe me, I've got a kid to feed and some animals that are running around here barely behaving themselves.
Yay, more Batman. Yay.
Joshua?
Oh yeah, I was gonna go off the difference with black characters being drawn back in the day compared to now, and what worked for me, and the reason that I was able to get these gigs with these studios is because all I did was draw black characters, and my stuff went viral, and for them, so whenever I get picked up for a studio job now, it's on a black show or a black movie. So just the fact that they're coming to me as a black character designer that knows how to actually get our features together and all of that that's the difference that I see from back then and today. So, and then me just being unapologetically black as well with my art. So, like I said, thank you all for paving the way.
I'm glad.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna say what I got to say, and if it's wrong, they need to know that what they're doing is wrong. Like that's why I'm such a big advocate for diversity and inclusion, because it is crucial to storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in and say I'm glad you mentioned that, because as a curator, that's one of the things that I encourage a lot of the black artists whose work I was sharing at the time to do, to be confident in only drawing black characters in a fantasy, sci-fi, horror setting. Be confident, because I'm of the opinion that if you build it, as the old saying goes, they will come. If you do high quality stuff and you keep being consistent, they will come. Whether that's film, comics, art, anime, if it's high quality, you may start off slow, but if you continue on that trend, they will come.
Right.
And Joshua is a perfect example of that, because like he said, and there's a lot of artists I share who same thing. They're excellent artists, and they could be drawing, Lord of the Rings characters. They could be drawing Batman. They could be drawing, a whole bunch of popular characters to get those numbers on social media, but they don't. They draw their own unique characters, give them their own names, give them their own backstory, and some of those characters are right now turning into comics and turning into film and turning into anime, and have Kickstarters making over $100,000 because they stuck with it.
Right.
So more black artists need to be like Joshua on that end.
Thank you.
Okay, I thought someone else was going to say something. That's a good segue into what is an important part of the art making process, or for you personally and for artists too. Like, what's integral in the work of an artist?
What do you mean by that? Is process wise or integral to what wise? What do you?
I think it depends on however you want to answer it. I want to allow everybody the opportunity to answer as they see fit. So, is it process that you want to lean into, or is it, I don't know, substance of the work?
For me, it's the integrity of the work, the design, the features of black people. Or if I'm drawing a white person, I want to make sure I'm 100% dead on with the features and, You know, if black people have a wider nose, fuller lips, you're gonna see that in my character design. So just keeping the and maintaining the integrity of the character and kind of true to life stuff, then I can exaggerate features and really make it look different. So, and it's funny, I had a white guy hit me up on LinkedIn, and he told me, I think he's at Disney. He said, "Man, you're one of the best artists that I've seen draw black people." So they notice, you know. So
there's a good reason why that's a problem for most artists who draw, because as we learn to draw, we are drawing from the Caucasianoid skull.
right.
Everyone who ever picked up a pencil and starts learning the 5 heads across the human face, all this art, all this math, while we are learning the mathematics, we're not learning that there are 3 types of recognized human skulls. And I only say 3 types, where really, honestly, are there really just 3 types? Maybe we should consider that there are 4 types, because you're leaving out everyone who's ever Hispanic. And who decided this? Nazis. They went around the world measuring people's skulls. They decided there's only 3 types of human skulls: Caucasianoid, Africanoid, and Asianoid. That's it. Leaving out everyone else, period. And we are still, science holds to that to this day. It's how we're taught to draw, so that when we are literally drawing, we recognize the white skull. We do not recognize the skulls nor change them. And then we wonder why people don't look right when we're drawing them. Why are drawing Asian people the hardest ones to draw? Because we don't get the epicanthic fold over the eye. There are a lot in that process that it begins in the classroom and it works its way out. So right now we're constantly regurgitating the same brainwashing that we have been subjected to since the moment we picked up anything creative. And we're trying to fight against that. But how do we fight against all of this stuff if we're still so very, very divided and not supporting one another?
Very true.
Yeah, part of my process is what Joshua said. But as comic storytellers, we got to think of the story and composition too. So we got Lisa and I got to plan out what we draw. So we're doing sketches, we're doing layouts,
I remember we're being told what to do when we read that script. We don't get to make up what we want. And it's like, sometimes I read that script and I have to take to my bed.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I'm working with some independent creators, so I get a little more leeway. And some of them are new, so I'm working and helping them along the way too. If I'm not working with Marvel or DC, so yeah, what's important to me is storytelling. If I'm doing my own story, it's still a story, and what I can put into that will enhance the story of the characters. And of course, the features. I remember I was teaching a class one day at the Society of Illustrators. A group of kids from art and design came in, and this was like maybe 5+ years ago. And the students were like, "Wow, you draw black people like black people." I was like, it touched me. I was like, "I'm glad you said that." I'm happy to hear you say that, because I work on that. And this like this the people, some white people who draw black people they say they can't draw features, but it goes back to school where we were taught to draw from reference. Just get reference and work on it until you can practice until you get it right. I mean, if I'm going to a job and I don't draw a car right, they're gonna be like, either go back and draw it again, or they're gonna find somebody else. Just keep get a picture. If you gotta trace it. Do it right. So the important it's just storytelling, composition, and the characters, and making sure the action's on point. Whether the action is sitting in the cafe talking, or having a fight scene in the street, or a space battle in the space, or an orbit.
I think we lost Turtle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had to leave, but we are going to keep the conversation going. So, what kind of work, and I would like to go around and have everyone say this, do you enjoy the most doing? I think I'm going to start with Tony. Yeah.
I would actually say character design and everything. So as far as like creating the comics themselves, I actually struggle with that. Like, I understand the writing process and the storyboarding, but like when it comes to like actually designing the panels themselves, that's what I struggle with. I've asked like multiple, artists like Marcus Division, I've asked people like, like, what is it? Like, I don't understand. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I'm struggling with, like with the most, like how to make my comic.
Okay,
So
with that, if I could say, storytelling is a very hard thing.
yeah,
At least I know a person named Gray Williamson. He would say, storytelling is like learning to be a doctor. You do your 4 years in school, then you do your 4 year residency. It's like it's an ongoing process to learn storytelling. You can't just get it from one or two artists. You gotta study it. You gotta be under someone. No, you don't have to be, but it helps to be having an apprenticeship to artists, or just study it in books, and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it over again. Get critiques from people, other various artists, over time at conventions. Storytelling is something that just can't come in a year or two. I was a background artist to Dennis Cowan for a couple of years. I learned some comic books under Michael Davis. Both these gentlemen were the founders of Milestone Media, and I learned from upperclassmen when I was in school. When I was a student at School of Visual Arts. So that right there is 4 + 2 + 1. That's 7 years right there. Then as a professional, I had 2 more years under a person, that's telling me, listen, you guys there's still some things you can do better in your storytelling. This is like 6 7 years into my professional career. So and now I'm 30 years into it. I mean I still gotta go over my sketches and my thumbnails, make sure I get it on point. And this is within the deadline too. So it's just a process you got to be patient with to learn and to feel comfortable with, and working within panels that that are composing a page, and that's making the overall design from 1 2 3 4 5 6 on up to 22, on up to 64, on up to 200 something if you're doing a graphic novel.
Okay. All right.
It's hard. It's very hard. And comic book artists, we draw everything. We could be drawing a couch one day, then we're drawing a spaceship out, in the cosmos, in the galaxy we made up, or a lamp, or a computer screen, or a cafe, or Nebula Sector Prime 6. I don't know what that is, but it's something I made up.
Yeah.
And we got reference that. We got reference what we make up.
Right.
So it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and you're gonna be frustrated. It's very frustrating. It's fun at the same time too. When you see something happen and come to work, it works. It's like, and it inspires you, and you get to it like, oh, what am I gonna do now? Where am I gonna start? But it starts with A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
It's basic. Start with the basics first.
So, Stephen, can you also share just what part of your work do you enjoy doing the most?
What part of it, or like subject matter, or just part of the comic book storytelling? I like doing the sketches. I like drawing it, getting involved with it. I like the storytelling. I like drawing the figure. I like drawing the figure in action. As far as subject matter, I like drawing martial arts. I don't do a lot of martial arts. I like drawing it. I like drawing action. I like drawing space stuff. One day I would like to draw a couple Star Wars books, or just some. One day I have in mind to draw a giant robot book. I mean, I'm like steeped in. I like anime. I like comics, and I want to mesh that stuff with African diasporic culture.
Haven't you drawn Voltron? I drew
that once. Yes, I drew Voltron once. I drew it, and I did it with Brandon Thomas, the guy who did Excellence, and he's currently doing a bunch of DC books right now. He stays busy.
Okay, Asante, part of your work that you enjoy doing?
Coming up with the storyboard. Like I said, I'm not an artist, but I like visualizing, and that's, one of the things you have to do as a filmmaker is be able to visualize your story. And, with my projects, when I first see the storyboard, it really hits home to me, that my vision is finally coming to life. Right. So apart from my input in it, which is the writing and the directing, and I love writing. I don't have as much time to do it as I would like, but writing comes very easy to me. Storytelling. But in terms of what I like to see, when my product develops, it's a storyboard first, and that really shows you the importance of being an illustrator. Is that you can bring other people's visions to life, right? All of you guys here, can relate to that, where somebody comes to you with an idea, and they have to basically insert what's in their mind into yours, because you can't see what's in their head, right? So they have to describe it for you in print, right? In word form, and that part can be hard because, again, nobody can see what's in my mind to bring it to pass as I would like, unless I illustrate that for them using my words in a proper format for them to bring it to life. So the storyboarding process before I get to the big shebang, which is the actual filming, is my favorite part, because that's my vision coming to life for the first time.
Alitha?
I was thinking about this one because I find that I have less and less enjoyment as I go along here. And I realize ultimately it's because I am not doing what I really, really wanted to do. I wanted to enter here to tell a story. I want to tell my story, which is something I don't do in comics. I literally try to figure out what other people want to say in their stories. And then I put that out there and let that go. For myself, when I'm at conventions, this is when I show what I want to do when I grow up, which I want to write sci-fi. I want to write prose novels. This is what I want. And that wall is so firm that just what did I hear? My name is too flowery and ethnic for publication. So go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like, wow. So you fight your way up this hill, and now look at that. All of Mount Everest is before you. What are you going to do? Well, I have my hiking boots back on, and I'm going to keep going. That's what I'm going to do. But looking at this, just being able to sit down and write every day. I find that I write every day. No matter what I do, I sit there and write. And I draw up until I sleep 2-3 hours, and I'm back at work. Believe me, I should be working right now. There are people angry with me for not being at work. But so every time I pick up a new script, I almost feel resentment. And I realize where it's coming from. I can only define it now because, as Steven said, it's an ongoing process, this storytelling deal. It's like, why? You should feel happy. They tell me, aren't you happy? Aren't you excited? Look, you get this book. Aren't you excited? It's like, no, I don't feel anything. I literally can only want to give people what they want. I cannot express what I want. And how would you feel if that was your life for the last 20 years? Where you literally a dream deferred, and then I realized might never come true. That I have to face that reality that this will probably be where they'll find me dead at my desk one day, and this is how it will go. And then they'll say, you had this wonderful celebrated career. Did I really? Not when you didn't hear my voice, not even one time, or even when I did come up and say, please, would you look at my book? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think those people are in spaceships, or even better, like the show, you don't have enough Black people. Some of these people are too light. I'm Hispanic. It would be literally disingenuous of me to exclude half of my family to accommodate a crowd who doesn't understand me anyway, unless I fit into what they need me to be. So allow me to create, please. But that is something I am not allowed in my everyday career. So it's difficult for me to answer that question straight. Do I like drawing? Yes. Do I like drawing fights? Oh, yes. Am I tired of drawing people on the couch talking about their problems? Wolverine walking through the woods crying? Yes. Wolverine kill people like when I first started. Or at least cut up monsters, not kill people. We know what we mean here. But this thing where the characters are so self-reflective, it's so apologetic that they're no longer superheroes. I need my heroes back. I need things that fly through space. And one of these days, I hope to be able to tell my own story.
Well, now that just makes me want to ask you, and sorry, Joshua, we're going to get to you. But then, Alitha, how do you keep going? Like, how did you not quit? Because I feel like it would have been so easy and so understandable if you had just quit and been like, screw this, I just will do something else.
Are you kidding me? I can't quit. I literally have to find someone to replace me. There is no quit. This is literally what I was born to do, what I was created to do. I was put here, whether it's being sacrificial to everyone else, but I opened that door. I made the war so that other people can farm. So I have to die at my desk. I have to go this way. There is no other way, because like that etchrier, I remember students coming up to me, this girl come up and she had tears rolling down her face. She says, I just didn't know that women did this. I thought I was wasting my time in this school. I can do this now. I have to be here. I have no choice. If other people feel they have a choice, that's fine. But for me coming in here, literally, when I travel for the U.S. State Department, they will tell me at a moment's notice, me and my son will pack up to go somewhere else to reflect to other people, say, look, this is what we do. And I draw this here. And I see it over and over with young people, young Ingrids, women especially. They can do this. It's not just a dream. So what choice did I have? I have no choice.
Yeah, Alitha brought us to Algiers 2 years ago. Algeria 2 years ago. And the enthusiasm we got from them seeing us come to their country and draw for them. Just draw, sketchbooks. I mean, it's not sketchbooks, little sketches for them, of their characters or of themselves. They said, you came over here rather than go to New York Comic Con? Yeah, hell yes. Mm-hmm. We came over here. For me, it's the first time I've been out of the country. So I'm definitely going. So it was a joy seeing that going abroad, seeing how they responded to us, the questions they asked. And we're going to only answer in a certain way because we don't know the culture there. We don't know their context, their day-to-day life context. So we can't say all you do is do this and that and the other, because we don't know how they live. But we could do I would say that first, and then I say, well, just create, do what you can do. If there's an art store, which there wasn't, I don't think they didn't have many art stores around there, and I don't think so. But it was but still a beautiful country, beautiful environment we were in, beautiful city, beautiful people. Mm-hmm. But you really wanted to do comics. They were all in it.
Man, we take a lot for granted being here in America. Mm-hmm. I was in Curacao, where again, there's no art stores, very little programming and entertainment for children. There's not this thing where I could go out and buy a comic book. There are no American comic books. You come to this country and you're like, wow, look at all this stuff. And then to be told, well, that stuff's exclusive for males. It's like, oh, no, it's not. I just found it. So it's for me, too. That was my attitude. But to still see to this day, as we said, when we went to Algiers, to go to Ecuador, go to other countries, and it's still that way, like as if I was 10 years old running down these streets where you have nothing and you see nothing. There is no Superman, except you can recognize a symbol. You could get a little of it, but you can't get a hold of it. You don't know how to do it. So I drew it in the margin of books. I drew it on every book I had, down in the little creases. No one's going to buy you paper to draw on. That's crazy. The family can't even understand why you would do that. Believe me, I had to hide it. To this day, my company name is Ariat Storm. That was my pen name to protect myself. And now it's my company's name. But hopefully one day we'll put out more than a couple little pieces that I throw at comic book shows. But you have to do this. You have no choice. If you really want things to change, what choice do I have?
Thank you. Joshua, can you answer what you enjoyed the most? And then we are kind of getting close on time. So I would have one more question after that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to answer after all of that, man.
Yeah, Alitha brings the real, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was good. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, for me, I think it's the coloring in my line work, because it's a form of storytelling for me. After I create this character and then I color it in, now I really get to, what does the mood look like? What does the lighting look like? I can really set the mood for this image that I draw. So painting the picture in for me is probably one of my favorite parts.
Okay, and for our last question, we're going to do a roundtable again. Afro Comic Con's theme has always been about Afrofuturism and creating and highlighting stories that envision a liberated future for Black and Brown folks. So can everyone just tell me a little bit about what is your Afrofuturism vision?
Wow.
Representation.
Go ahead.
Positive representation for just us brown Black people, us telling our own stories.
Yeah, Black people doing cool stuff, being superheroes, being villains, and being those things in between, in the future and in the past.
For me, it's just giving out, creating these diverse characters, telling dope stories, being as inclusive as possible, like I'm doing with my show. So,
All right. So, I mean, with that, if everyone can just share how people can find you or connect with you, if it's websites, if it's social media pages, any channels, whoever wants to go first can do that.
Do you mind if I answer that last question just
Oh, sure.
before I give my, you can find me at areatestorm.com and just anywhere else. Buy Nubia next week. Yay, that'd be wonderful. Show them, buy the book. But for that question, yeah, I had a wonderful experience recently working with Square Enix, doing their Black Panther Avengers motion comic. And that's something they hired my studio to handle entirely. That was amazing. Not just because of the working process, but for the first time ever, as I saw that Marvel logo come up and the Black Panther logo change it to the one that I drew, I felt like I was home. And Marvel's my first home. And that's where I feel like, so I belong there, no matter what. That's the legacy. That's what I helped build. And that's a house I helped build. And I want other people to come and help build my house too.
congratulations.
Can you say your company name again, please, or the website?
AriotStorm.com, ARIOTSTORM.com. And there you'll find my prose stuff. You'll see characters like, who is this person? This is not Superman or Spider-Man. No, it's my own babies. And that's the beginning of my novel.
So I have a question and everything. So is it best to self-publish or actually sign with, like with an actual company like Marvel and DC? Like,
Oh, you got 5 more minutes, Monique? There are two different monsters. With Marvel and DC, you do not own anything of your stuff. And for you to be with Marvel and DC, you're doing their properties. And if you create a character for them, it's theirs. If you're lucky enough to have that character be popular or big selling, you still don't own it, but you may get points off the dollar for the character, but it'll never be your character. I've created like 3 or 4 characters between Marvel and DC, and I'll get credit for one of them, but not anything else. I co-created Aztec, and it's in the contract. That's like back in 95, 96. That I will if Aztec becomes a movie with this name in the title, if I remember the contract correctly, I will get some credit for that. But Aztec has been in Justice League Unlimited and in the animated series by late Dwayne McDuffie. I got no money from that, but they made a toy from the character. I got some money from that, but it's a little bit of money, and I get when it's reprinted, I get money from that and royalties. But if you do your own thing, it's riskier, it's a lot more work, but you get most of the benefits and rewards. You can go to you can get a literary agent, you can go to a publisher, or you can self-publish to do that, or a small independent comic book publisher.
To me, it's not an either-or question. Marvel, DC, that's a job. Yeah. Don't ever think that this is a day job. Like everyone, you might go to the office, you might work at Starbucks. I just happen to draw comics as my day job, and I never lose sight of this is a job. This is what I do to feed my family. This is how I keep my bills paid. So I have to treat it as such. As much as people, it gets wrapped up with the love and the romantic notion of it. But at the end of the day, it's just that paycheck more than anything else.
Yeah, it's not an ongoing job either. It's not ongoing. It could be 3 months, it could be a month, it could be, and then maybe 2 years later, you make another job from there.
It's like you really don't know. Like this job I'm on, it could be the last job. There's no job security. There's none of that stuff. You hope with your own stuff that you could create that. I'm hoping to parlay the name that I created in comics into something that I could use to sell prose. So far, it seems like no. So this is luckily enough, 20 years I have not been out of work. But at the same token, they're working me to death. It's not like a little work. It's like 2-3 books at a time. It's pulling you here, pulling you there within the same company. It's going from work, down, get on a plane, go back to work. And this is how your life will not be extended. You just don't enjoy it. So you ask. That's like asking, do I want to eat? Of course I want to eat.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. Are you a illustrator, King?
Yes.
Okay. So you best want to diversify yourself, be if you love comics, that's fine. But I mean, I've done comics, I've done storyboards for commercials, I've done illustrations for people, for companies. So you could probably get into gaming, concept art. Spread yourself around and be good enough to do all those things and know what they want. But the foundation to all that is a good strong drawing behind that. And then if you can color and of course color in computer, but yeah, learn gaming, concept art. I've done stuff for what's the Grand Theft Auto? What's the game company? I did a few things for them. I've done stuff for, like I said, TV commercials like Samsung, Coca-Cola, Comcast, a whole bunch of stuff for different advertising agencies. So it's better to get out there and just branch yourself outside of comics to keep yourself working in the art industry or commercial art industry.
Mm-hmm. And with that, Stephen, can you share with your website?
Yes, my website is www.nstephenworks.com. Just take my name, squeeze it up into one thing, and you'll see me on Instagram. Like put the @ in front of that N, at @nstephenharris on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Yeah, and maybe LinkedIn too, but I'm hardly on LinkedIn. But I'm still there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where I am. And I also am an award-winning comic book artist too. I've got to tell that.
Right.
Tony?
My social media is Nubia Mancy on YouTube and Instagram. Nubia spelled just like Alithea's character, and Mancy at the end.
Character.
Yes, DC's character drawn by Alitha. That's what I mean. I know you don't own it, but Nubia spelled the same way, and Mancy as in necromancy. So Nubia Mancy, that's the name of the company on YouTube and Instagram. You can see the 2 films that I've done on the YouTube channel. So that's there.
Okay, Tony?
Yes. What?
Yeah.
It's you can actually find me on Instagram at King Master Miller. Yeah.
Right, and Joshua?
Just like it is on the screen, except put the letter I and the letter M, and it's just I am Joshua Leonard. Instagram. Right. If you find that Instagram, you'll be able to find everything else. Thank you.
Thank you all. And I am at Simply Robotics on Twitter and Instagram, simplyrobotics.com. I am grateful for this opportunity to learn, and anytime, like I'm getting into comics a little bit, comic characters, I do see a lot on social media with like independent creators and publishing, and just see a lot of the conversations really on Twitter happening that I completely would not be aware about. But there's still some overlaps between, because ultimately we're still Black at the end of the day and creative. So it doesn't really matter completely which industry you are. There's overlapping in some experiences. Mm-hmm. So I also just want to say again that Afro Comic Con is a nonprofit, which depends on donations in order to bring this programming yearly to you and also throughout the year. So please donate by clicking the donate button on the platform. Thank you again, everybody, for devoting your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Afro Comic Con.
All right, thank you for having us. It was fun.
Thank you for having me.
Learned a lot. Thank you.
Yes.